Today, an FDA panel votes against a bladder cancer drug, positive recommendations from Europe's CHMP for agents in multiple myeloma, breast cancer, and soft tissue sarcoma, and 2 European approvals for tyrosine kinase inhibitors in renal cell carcinoma. Welcome to Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus. The FDA's Oncologic Drugs Advisory Committee voted 14-0 against the approval of the agent apazoquone for intravesical instillation following transurethral resection in patients with non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. ODAC considered a new drug application for apazoquone based on data from 2 phase 3 trials, known as 611 and 612. Both studies missed the primary endpoint, which was a statistically significant reduction in disease recurrence at 2 years with a single dose of apazoquone compared with placebo. In Study 611, 38% of patients with TA grade 1 or 2 disease in the apazoquone arm had disease recurrence compared with 44.6% of those in the placebo arm. In Study 612, 40.4% of patients in the apazoquone arm had disease recurrence versus 46.6% of patients who were given placebo. Neither of the differences was statistically significant. Spectrum, the manufacturer of apazoquone, also conducted a pooled analysis of these 2 studies, which showed that there may be some benefit for the agent in certain settings. Spectrum will await a final decision from the FDA, which is scheduled to be made on or before December 11, 2016. However, the FDA usually follows the recommendations given by ODAC. An ongoing phase 3 study, which was designed through a special protocol assessment with the FDA, is looking at the impact of the timing of treatment and the effect of a second dose of apazoquone. The European Medicines Agency's Committee for Medicinal Products for Human Use recommended a conditional approval for ixazomib in combination with lenalidomide and dexamethasone as a treatment for patients with multiple myeloma who have received at least 1 prior therapy. The opinion is based on results from the Phase 3 Tourmaline MM1 trial, which demonstrated a 26% reduction in the risk of disease progression or death with the triplet regimen versus dexamethasone and lenalidomide alone. Earlier in 2016, the CHMP released a negative opinion for ixazomib's marketing authorization. This was due to a paucity of data to support a full authorization. In June, Takeda, the manufacturer of ixazomib, requested a re-examination of the application on the basis of a conditional approval, which led to the newly adopted positive opinion. Under this program, Takeda must submit additional data from ongoing studies to support continued authorization. In breast cancer, the CHMP granted a positive opinion for approval of palbociclib for patients with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic disease. The indication would be either in combination with an aromatase inhibitor in the frontline setting or with fulvestrant after progression on endocrine therapy. The recommendation is based on encouraging findings with the CDK4/6 inhibitor in the Paloma 1, 2, and 3 trials. Palbociclib and letrozole reduced the risk of disease progression by 51% versus letrozole alone in Paloma 1. Paloma 2 demonstrated a median progression-free survival of 24.8 months with palbociclib plus letrozole versus 14.5 months for letrozole alone. The Paloma 3 trial demonstrated a median PFS of 9.5 months in the palbociclib plus fulvestrant arm versus 4.6 months with fulvestrant alone. Following the CHMP's opinion, the European Commission will issue its final approval decision within 2 to 3 months. The CHMP has also given a positive recommendation for an approval of olaratumab for patients with advanced soft tissue sarcoma. The approval would be in combination with doxorubicin for patients who are not good candidates for radiotherapy or surgery. The opinion was based on findings from the Phase 2 JGDG trial, in which the PDGFR alpha antagonist combined with doxorubicin reduced the risk of death by 54% compared with doxorubicin alone. Additionally, in the intent-to-treat population, the median overall survival was 11.8 months higher with the olaratumab combination versus doxorubicin alone. Within 2 to 3 months of this recommendation, the European Commission will make a final decision on the approval. The European Commission has granted 2 separate approvals for the treatment of patients with advanced renal cell carcinoma following 1 prior VEGF-targeted therapy. First, lenvatinib was approved in combination with everolimus based on Phase 2 data that showed a 60% reduction in the risk of progression or death with a 2-drug regimen versus single-agent everolimus. Additionally, the EC approved cabozantinib for patients with advanced disease after failure of a VEGF treatment. This decision was based on Phase 3 results of the METEOR trial, which showed that cabozantinib produced a 4.9-month median overall survival benefit over everolimus. Both drugs are already approved in the United States. That's all for today. Thank you for watching Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus.